Another technological leader in the world is Qualcomm, and I'm delighted to have the Director of Project Management. Ashok, how are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. I'm glad to be here.
Tell us a little bit about what's going on with Qualcomm.
Qualcomm is the leader in mobile technologies,
Sure.
as you know. We've been focusing a lot on how do we bring the scale of mobile, to Internet of Things, to buildings. Not only just stop at buildings, but look at buildings, campuses, citywide, how these technologies can scale and how they bring the benefits of IoT to the efficiencies, to the productivity, to the betterment of everyone.
How is Qualcomm doing that these days?
We are doing multiple things. One is we're working with the city governments, municipalities, and the governments to bring the policy changes that will enable some of these technologies to be deployed, worldwide. We're also working from ground up. Our silicon that connects the things. We are good at making things talk. We are making good at people talk with each other. So it helps a lot in bringing the technologies to the intelligent building world. We're also looking at how do we harmonize these different languages, how do we make things interoperable in the industrial space. So we're working on all the things together to bring efficiencies to the buildings.
So concretely, what kind of new products are you using to affect this change?
Sure. We have few very specific tailored development boards. Our Ruby board that we call it for Wi-Fi, our 410C, it's a development kit that supports multiple OSs, including Android, Linux, as well as Windows. But on top of that, we also have our management gateways that sit on top and connect to these sensors that basically translate whatever you see in the buildings, whatever you see in the campuses, translate it into the protocol that goes onto the cloud and comes down. So again, we are always looking at technologies that scale, technologies that can be used in our daily lives, like the mobile, but bringing it back to something that people don't use it for buildings. So that's where we are.
When you look around the trade show and you see the new technologies that are emerging, which ones are most exciting to you, specifically as someone who is at Qualcomm and thinks creatively about how to combine things? What are you seeing out there?
Wonderful question. Coming from a tech background and technology, I quickly realized that tech is very exciting for everyone, but when I really see it applied for somebody's work, like what I've seen in a campus or buildings, that's very exciting to me. How we are not only focusing on technology, but we are also focusing on how it changes people's behavior, and how the business models are changing. We go with three very key principles in our work. Number one is to reimagine how things could be. Don't take it for granted on how things are. Reinvent the using existing technologies for the most part. And we are also very happy to look at how we are changing the business models, how the business model being changed by some of the technologies I see in this particular trade show. A lot of it has been moving away from a product-based to a service-based, moving away from a traditional server model to the cloud model, and also looking at things where can the technology give me insight that I never had before? I think these three things combined, in a lot of companies and products that are here in the trade show are really exciting and innovating for us.
When you talk about how can we reinvent, what are some ways that Qualcomm has been reinventing the way things are done?
Wonderful. When we looked at smart cities, smart campuses, lucky for Qualcomm, we have a very distributed campus. We have around 40 plus buildings in San Diego. We decided to test our own technologies in our own campus.
Great.
And we looked at how our own employees are looking at things, looking at buildings. We cannot advocate tearing down all the buildings and building new things up.
Right.
So the way we reinvented is we're going to use technology to enable some of these things. For example, we deployed very small self-powered current sensors all across the building, around close to 1,000 of them. to give me insight into how we should look at energy consumption. It's beyond the meter. It affects things like asset management. So these are the way we are looking at things. There are opportunities there. So I need to reinvent the way we are collecting data, reinvent the way we are using the data in our own campus. So that's one of the things we have done recently.
When you install 1,000 circuit current sensors, what did you learn?
One very surprising thing for us was we did a pilot around, I think, around 80 plus employees, trying to see what the behavior of a person is, just by looking at the energy profile of the equipment they use in the cubicle in the office.
Sure.
We got insight into the patterns of when employees are going into the building, looking at the occupancy and looking at the power profile of how PCs are turned on, laptops are turned on. And the one that surprised us was a lot of our energy consumption was going to static PCs that were sitting in our network, not being shut down after the employee leaves the office.
Interesting.
So that was one of the things that
did that convert into new policies about?
Absolutely.
And did that convert into saving of any kind?
Directly.
That's interesting.
It's when we go look at technology and we look at some of these policies, they might look very orthogonal at first, but having the right data to drive those things really showed us that can be done and should be done.
As someone who does product management, what excites you the most about your job?
Solving real problems and be able to look at it very holistically, and going in with a mindset really open. Coming from a systems background, I look at it as I need to really solve some problems that are critical and have an open mind, incorporate technologies across the board. That's what excites me in product management, trying to design something, looking at it from an end-to-end in a very holistic way is what is great about it.
What's the future for Qualcomm, and specifically when you look at future trends in this industry? So it's a sort of a dual-pronged question. Looking out at the real estate and technology space, what do you see? But also, what do you see for your company?
Across the world, there are a few trends that are the next wave, if I may say so. One is definitely the IoT.
And how is Qualcomm participating in IoT?
Sure. We are very well positioned in IoT, specifically industrial IoT, as well as automotive, wearables, you name it. We are the market leaders in connecting things, both from our technologies that we use, but also on our silicon side, where we provide the backbone of how these things are getting connected. We have multiple products across the board, all different technologies. We are pretty agnostic, at least on the smart cities team, to deploy the right technology for the right purpose. And we are the Swiss Army knife of all communication technologies, so we are very well positioned to do that.
And as far as the future of Qualcomm?
We are very, very excited about the future of Qualcomm. We think what the growth we have seen in the last 30, 40 years is probably quadruple going out. But at the same time, we believe that fundamentally reinventing and reimagining our own stuff in intelligent buildings and in smart buildings and smart cities is going to be a major driver for growth.
Terrific. Well, thank you so much, Ashok, and thank you for being here and for what Qualcomm does for the industry, and it was lovely getting your thoughts.
Absolutely. Very glad to be here, and it was nice talking to you.
Terrific. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.